Hi, good morning. This is Mikey Zena of Menorcan Magic, handmade cast nets. What I want to do today, this is going to be a continuation of the last video I did on the history of cast nets. I had some more stuff to tell you, but I didn't want to make that other one any longer. It was long enough as it was. But anyway, just one quickie on a net. If you're not familiar, you guys learning how to do it when you finish your row and you're going to continue, because the net's a continuous circle. You slide that mesh board right up against that tail. See what I'm doing? I'm running it right up a stop right against that tail. Then I'm going to reach down and I'm going to pick up that mesh, bring it down to tie my knot, and then I'm ready to go. I would continue right on around. With that said, I'm going to put this down and get into what I want to talk about, and that is the history. Add to the history, there's some very important dates in modern times, and actually the most important things that come up were started with E.I. DuPont, started the DuPont chemical company, and really got going in the middle 1930s, but it took a while. DuPont was the company, was the start maker of synthetic materials as we know it today. What a marvelous invention. So many things have come out of nylon and the polys, and it just keeps expanding on what they have done. But anyway, some dates I want to bring to you was 1935 was when you got a patent on nylon synthetic materials, but it was actually, DuPont had no idea about making twine and things. His goal was to make stockings for ladies, and he called them hose, and they were a hit. 1939, he started producing the stockings, and they were a success. And into the early 40s, then along comes the war. Well, what happens in the war? You can't get anything. Everything is taken up for the war effort. So after the war, 1945, and the war's over, and things, you're coming out of the Great Depression, and things really started to pick up. And so he started producing nylon products into the 40s, into the early 50s. I started making nets in the early 1950s. I mean 50, 51. When I first started, all the nets were made out of cotton. And actually, nylon net twine started showing up in the early 1950s, and it was really later than that. It was about 54 before companies like Brownie, Gold Medal, and Tanglefin came onto the scene producing nylon twine, Tanglefin being the best of the lot. And so anyhow, but the other important date, I don't want to get off my track here, probably what may be as far reference to where you're at today with the nets. In 1952, a Japanese firm started, they patented and started making machine-made webbing. That is the panel nets as you know it today. You can think about this, but before 1952, all webbing, I don't care what it was, what kind of net, what kind of webbing it may be, was made by hand. So that was a very important date, 1952. And I remember when the first machine-made net started showing up was in the, it was probably in the middle 50s. I really got into making nets along about 1954, 55. That's when I really got into it. And the first, I can remember the first monofilament. I'm going to show you something here. The first, Phil's going to zoom in on this. This is monofilament. If you can believe that, this stuff here, what this was we had quite a fishing fleet here in St. Augustine back in that era, in the 40s and 50s and into the 60s. But this was believe it or not, this is early. Can you see that good, Phil?
Yeah.
How stiff this is. This, believe it or not, was monofilament from before. My next date I want to talk to you about was 1959, and that was a date when DuPont company started with a much softer and more pliable nylon twine as we know it today, and that was Serene. And that came about in 1959. That's when your panel nets, as you go to the stores and buy now, that's when they started really showing up. I can remember this stuff here. This is a heavier line, by the way. You wouldn't make nothing out of this. This is for a hand line. This is for catching red snapper off the coast. But anyhow, this is pretty heavy stuff here. But the smaller diameter twine, mono, was just as stiff. And I can remember they did actually start making machine-made nets out of this stuff, and oh, they were like wire. I can remember seeing the things, and they were just like a wire basket. But anyway, 59 is an important date. That's when the DuPont company came out with Serene, which was great. It made a big difference, and you could actually work with this stuff. Now, as far as the twine, this is a number 3. I'm sure that, yeah, I can see it. That's a number 3, number 3 nylon. This looks like it was probably tangle fin. I don't know where I got this from, but you can see this twine is, believe it or not, from probably the 56, 57, somewhere in there. That's how old that is. Now, I'm going to show you one other thing. Believe it or not, you can believe this or not, but here's a net that I had sent to me in a conversation with a Cajun from over in New Orleans, and he sent me some of these things. It's a bait net. It is a bait net. It's made out of, this is definitely bonded nylon, and I'm going to estimate the age of this. It probably from somewhere in the late 1950s to early 1960s. It's a brand new net. It was never rigged, and this is just a little 4-foot bait net. At some point I'll rig it, but to tell you how long this stuff lasts, you could tell how old it never used. Now it was never kept in there, put in a box or something. But just to tell you this, the toughness of nylon, cotton, well, cotton would last too if you didn't use it. But anyhow, now I'm going to make sure that I cover myself here because I just make myself some little notes because I don't want to forget anything to tell you. And okay, I think I've covered that stuff. So the important thing were those when DuPont was absolutely probably one of the most influential, important chemical companies that there's ever been. What they've done, life as you know it today, all around is all this artificial, is synthetic materials. Whether it's nylon, Dacron, rayon, all your polycarb, all your different fishing lines, the Dacron, this net, this made out of braided Dacron. All of this stuff comes from 1935 to 39, when DuPont got rolling, and this stuff hit the market. It was absolutely a big boost because, like I said, I can remember the shrimp boats. We had a big shrimping industry off of St. Augustine, and before 1952, those nets were made by hand. They were hand tied. They were made out of cotton. They were hand tied. They were dipped to protect them, preserve them. and so they were limited to the side. Most of those nets were probably 35, 40 feet until, that's across, until after 52, when they started being able to get hold of machine webbing. Then it went to, then it just went skyrocketed from there. And today, there's a McDonald's has a fishing fleet that they catch the whitefish up north in the cold water. They have they started using spectra fiber. They have on those big boats, they're equipped with a trawl. This enormous trawl. The size of it, the cost of it's $1 million. So things have come a long way. I don't guess I need to go any further with this. I think I've covered the important dates, the very important dates, 39, 52, 59, that really covers the stuff. The middle 50s really got underway. That's why you heard I made a comment last week, last video, about people that in the 50s and 60s had no idea that nets were ever made by hand. And this kind of proves it to you, what I was saying, because if you were born in the 50s and 60s and beyond, you had no idea. When you wanted a net, you went to the internet, or you went to the Walmart, or you went to Kmart, or bait and tackle shops particularly, and you bought a net. And as far as you was concerned, that was the way the nets were made. So, with that said, I think I've covered everything. If you want to contact us, I've got a new phone number. So if you want to call me with any kind of comments or questions, the new phone number here, it's on the website. But anyway, it's 904-217-7974. And the website is menorcanmagic.com. We're here in nation's oldest city, St. Augustine, Florida. And so with that said, I think Phil and I are going to find something else to do. But anyway, I always enjoy these little videos with you, sharing some information. Hopefully that you got something out of this. And so with that, take care of yourself and stay safe.